the South China Sea, a critical flashpoint where trillions in global trade intersect with competing territorial claims from Beijing to Hanoi.
As we zoom closer to the Paracel Islands, the controversial 9-dash line becomes visible.
This visualization shows the rapid pace of construction in the Spratlys Islands, a clear manifestation of China's growth.
China's rapid land reclamation efforts in the South China Sea have redrawn the map, transforming submerged reefs into strategic military outposts in record time. This visualization highlights the controversial 9-dash line, China's expansive claim across the China Sea. The United States Navy regularly conducts these freedom of navigation operations, or FONOPs, to challenge excessive maritime claims in the region. This visualization highlights the reach of Vietnam's coastal defenses. The red arcs demonstrate the ongoing resupply missions to Philippine outposts navigate increasingly tense waters, closely monitored by Beijing's expanding naval presence. This visualization highlights the world's reliance on the maritime corridors of the South China Sea. Mischief Reef stands as a stark example of modern militarization. The overlaid data highlights the overlapping defensive zones established by both nations. The dispute centers on the interpretation of UN clause and the overlapping exclusive economic zones. The Indo-Pacific, centered on the South China Sea, is a nexus of global power. These alliances highlight the Paracel Islands, claimed by both Hanoi and Beijing, sit at the heart of a critical geopolitical flashpoint in the South China Sea. As China expands its presence in the Spratlys, the radar footprint now covers key international sea lanes. This cinematic breakdown highlights the Strait of Malacca, the narrow gateway connecting the Indian Ocean to the bustling South China. This satellite view highlights the escalating tension at the Second Thomas Shoal. The proximity alerts are now flashing red. Beneath the waves of the South China Sea lie the arteries of the global internet. This is the Scarborough Shoal, a critical flashpoint in the South China Sea. The United States and its key allies, Japan, Australia, and the Philippines, have established a robust defense network. As the global demand for energy rises, the waters of the South China Sea become a critical flashpoint for international law and economic ambition. A key element of Beijing's strategy involves the use of maritime militia. As this visualization shows, they swarm.
The Hague's arbitration ruling regarding the South China Sea creates a binding precedent.
Satellite imagery confirms the rapid militarization of the Paracel Islands. These new air defense.
As the fleets maneuver through the contested corridor, the signaling data indicates a heightened state of alert across all parts. The strategic balance in the South China Sea is a microcosm of the wider geopolitical struggle.
These are the contested skies of the South China Sea. Each colored zone represents an overlapping claim.
The Haiyang Shiyu 981 platform, or HD 981, remains the epicenter of this
Trajectory lines near the Spratlys Islands represent a critical point in the ongoing struggle for regional dominance.
The exercise simulates a high-intensity amphibious assault, assessing the rapid deployment capability of the naval.
This visualization highlights the strategic dilemma in the Spratlys and Paracels chains.
The struggle for vital fishing resources intensifies, with overlapping maritime boundaries creating flashpoints.
This visualization highlights the precarious balance of power. The red arcs show the critical anti-ship missile cover. Satellite imagery confirms the scale of the multinational task force, the presence of US, Japanese. The South China Sea is the new frontier in hybrid warfare. As we see here, the cyber attacks originating from the. These humanitarian evacuation corridors are essential. The blue routes allow neutral stickman vessels identify.
Trajectory lines near the Spratlys Islands represent a critical point in the ongoing struggle for regional dominance.
The exercise simulates a high-intensity amphibious assault, assessing the rapid deployment capability of the naval.
The intricate diplomatic dance involves multiple players, ensuring open communication between China, Vietnam. As we pull back, the full scale of the escalation becomes clear.
This contested reef has seen unprecedented expansion. China's presence here fundamentally alters the strategic.
Beneath the waves of the South China Sea, an intricate game of deterrence is playing out.
This movement along the mainland highways demonstrates Beijing's strategic mobility doctrine, moving missile assets closer to the coast.
The escalating situation in South China Sea has triggered an emergency summit.
In the critical waters of the Philippine Sea, the carrier strike group presents a formidable presence. The layered defense arcs achieving spectrum dominance is critical in a modern conflict. Here we see the simulated jamming capabilities emanating from the contested islands.
As the crisis deepens in the South China Sea, the world's financial markets brace for impact.
The disputed island, heavily fortified, serves as a critical strategic asset. The integrated The situation in the contested zone remains critical. This visualization shows the proposed safe maritime corridor. This visualization shows the extent of the intelligence competition. A dense grid of satellites, both.
As we track the convoy, the scale of the challenge becomes clear. These warships are intentionally creating unsafe conditions.
A rapid response was initiated across the region. As air policing efforts converge, the situation remains a critical.
The South China Sea has become the epicenter of a new kind of conflict, information warfare. As the broadcast.
These overlapping rings represent Beijing's anti-access area denial strategy.
This visualization highlights the dangerous escalation in the South China Sea. The long-term balance of power in Southeast Asia hinges on this strategic triangle. The overlapping influence. The escalation mechanism required immediate activation of the naval hotline. This coastal center relies entirely on maritime imports. The blockade has triggered a severe supply disruption. As the timeline advances, the scale of Beijing's long-term strategic expansion across these critical waterways becomes clear.
The South China Sea remains a critical flashpoint. As maritime claims overlap, the delicate balance